Peace everybody, it's Jamal again. Today we're going to be going into the birth certificate, and because I get a lot of questions about what the birth certificate is and questions on how to properly authenticate the certificate of live birth or the birth certificate. And the answer is you can't authenticate the birth certificate. So the Cesti Qui Vie Trust my scribble, was set up in 1580, and it was refined in 1666. Now, the Cesti Qui Vie Trust is what's used to convert all the Moorish estates over to the Roman Empire. So this Cesti Qui Vie Trust helps the Europeans with their acts of conversion. Now, conversion is assumed, it's a transfer of a title or ownership of property that is assumed but not genuine. You see what I'm saying? So it's kind of like when the Europeans came here and they set up their real estate places and stuff like that, and we go to them to try to get a mortgage on some property. It's assumed that they have ownership over it when they really don't. So remember, we were expelled from Spain 1492, and then the Authenticating Divina, their whole mission to take over our lands, right? So the Cesti Qui Vie Trust was set up to help perpetuate that concept of them taking over our stuff. And remember, slaves can't own property, so that's what this serves as a legal, not lawful, legal strategy for them to take control of our stuff. So now a birth certificate or a birth is synonymous with birth. It's just an I and an E. Now, a berth is when you anchor a ship to a dock. The birth certificate is them anchoring a debt to humans. You see what I'm saying? So birth and birth share the same root word. So we bear their corporate debt when we say that we're it. Because this, the birth certificate, the certificate of live birth, a birth in law doesn't necessarily mean what you think it means. It means to bring wholly into existence. So you could bring a corporation wholly into existence. See what I'm saying? Humans beget other humans, and humans are begotten, which means procreated. So this certificate is not proof that you were begotten. Is proof that a thing was brought into existence. See what I'm saying? So this certificate is an instrument that's used against you, against your estate. So you know how in the Matrix they say, the people are seen as batteries, right? So this is a trust. This is a part of the Cesti Qui Vie Trust. And let's say this is the energy level, right? Excuse my scribble. That says energy. And here's 0, and here's 10, and here's the tax. This will always be at 0. Because it's dead. It only goes up when you transact business in that name. So in the Bible, Book of Revelations, it says that no man or woman will be able to buy or sell unless in the name or number of the beast. That's what that is. Because the name on the birth certificate is not your name. It's a homonym, right? Homo means same. And nim is name. Now, a homonym is a word or various words that may be spelled the same, they're pronounced phonetically the same, they look the same, but they're not the same. Like there, and there. Two, and two. Night and night. Where and where. Right, and right. You see what I'm saying? These are all different words, but they sound the same, but they don't have the same meaning. As an example, right? Me. This is properly grammatically correct. Capital J, lowercase, everything else. This is an artificial person. Because remember, in law, There's two types of persons, natural and artificial. You need to know that. So this is evidence that this was created, not that this was begotten. You see what I'm saying? So this right here, me, this right here, what we call the straw name, or the nom de guerre, the war name, or the 14th Amendment person, the ens legis, right, the artificial legal construct. This right here is a artificial person. So that's what that is. So essentially, the birth certificate is used to imply that we're corporate slaves. Remember, the U.S. citizen is the franchisees, the chattel, the property of the United States Corporation Company that is owned by the Europeans, the Romans, right? So that is used to place the debt on you. So how could you, one, authenticate something that you didn't create? Your mother didn't create it. So you're trying to authenticate someone that's not yours, and then you think that this instrument that they use to place a fraudulent debt on you is going to be used by you to pay off the debt that they're putting on you? So we know we're in occupation. We know our people are being suppressed. But we think that our suppressors and our oppressors are going to let us use their instruments to get ourselves out of debt that they're putting on us, that isn't even real debt. That's what you think? So I don't even need to make this video any longer. Like, that's pretty much it. You can't authenticate. So if I write you a letter, right? And then you say, "Hey, friend from high school, can you authenticate this?" How could they possibly authenticate that if I wrote it? So since these Europeans created this instrument for their Cesti Qui Vie trust to move against your estate because you're considered conquered, because you're their 14th Amendment citizen when you agree to be this, how could you authenticate that? And if you do, that means you're agreeing to be this. Dead. That's what that is. Civil litter mortuus. As distinguished from a living man. You see? So all the energies that you transact, that's what makes this charge. So when you stop transacting business in that name, remember when Noble Drew Ali was on the scene, he had thousands and thousands of us knowing who the heck we are. So guess what happened? It stays at zero. See what I'm saying? Now when it comes to, so-called discharging debt, right? I don't know anyone who's been successful at doing this, personally. And if you do, let me know. But here's what I know will work. I haven't done it, but I know it's going to work. When we unify, right? And we nationalize, and we all know that we're home, and we all know that we're not shipped from Africa, and we all know that we're not Indians, and we all know that Europeans are foreigners, and we nationalize, we claim our land. Rights of indigenous people says we have the right to our lands and resources back. So since water, electricity, gas, heat, those are all natural resources from our land, and we're part and parcel, that means it's coming from us. Don't you think that these private, for-profit corporation companies like National Grid, who's providing a service, don't you think we'll be like, oh yeah, go ahead and discharge that because you're on my estate? You see how that works? You see how you don't need a commercial instrument that's used to put you in a corporate debt that doesn't really exist? How that's not going to work? It's kind of like if I, let me see, if I put a chain on your foot, and then my coworker's like, yeah, if you paint that chain nice and purple, it's gonna make it way less, so you can move a lot faster, you can get a lot of stuff done. You think painting it purple is really gonna do something? If you claim ownership of that chain, Jamal can't control you no more if you claim ownership of that chain that he put on you. Remember Berth? In Berth, same thing. A berth is when you anchor a ship, right? We're navigating L's. We all got a navel. We all got a belly button, right? We're all navigating this plane of Earth. So when they put that certificate on you, it's a certificate of a debt. It's a bondage. See what I'm saying? So, think, right? Think. How could you use a commercial instrument to pay off a so-called debt that's not real, and then you're dealing with something that's not commerce? Resources aren't commerce. Heat is not a commercial activity. So how could you use a commercial instrument to pay that off? See what I'm saying? Read the rights of indigenous people, and you'll see. It says indigenous people have the right to their lands and resources back. So heat, gas, all that's a resource. You see how nationalities, the key, but it can't just be one of us doing it. Think about this. Imagine if one apartment complex, one ghetto, one hood, whatever, one little area, we all nationalized and said, we know we're home, we're not paying this so-called rent. We're not paying for heat and electricity. We know where we're at. How much finance you think these European corporation companies would lose? How much money do you think they would lose? Even though we know it's not money, how much do you think they would lose? We can march and pray. Now what if we stop paying their so-called rent for this so-called debt that we know ain't real? See the possibilities of nationalization? See what I'm saying? Now there's a quote from Malcolm X that I'd like to read real quick. Hold on. So Malcolm X said, and he changed his name to El Haj Malik Al-Shabaj, so that's a Moorish appellation. He said, nationalism is the wave of the present and the future. It is nationalism that's bringing freedom to oppressed people all over the world. It was nationalism that brought freedom to the Algerians. It was nationalism that brought freedom to the Nigerians and to the Ghanaians. It was nationalism that brought freedom to the people of Uganda and Tanganyika and Sudan and Somaliland. The Africans didn't get it by sitting in. They didn't get it by waiting in. They didn't get it by singing "We Shall Overcome." They got it through nationalism, and you and I will get it through nationalism. Malcolm X. So saying Black Lives Matter don't mean shit. Walk in saying, justice or else or whatever shit that we're doing, doesn't do anything. Saying, oh shit, we're home. You're from Europe. We don't owe you anything.